Whitefield, what are you waiting for on Rima 99.7? My name is Laurel Mack. It's very hustly and bustly here today. And I think the reason is because I have the wonderful Rachel Reaver with me today. And she has the absolutely fantastic Bob with her today. You brought your mum, Rachel.
I brought my mama.
Isn't that exciting? Did you need her to hold your hand? Are you a bit nervous?
I'm a little bit nervous. What can I say?
Bob, lovely having you here.
It's wonderful being here, thanks.
It's just a bit different, isn't it? But it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so we thought we'd have a bit of a special day.
It is special. It's
Isn't
a special week. I love this.
And I even got a gift.
You did too.
Tell me the whole story of the gift.
I will tell you the whole story of the gift.
I'm holding it in my hand.
Yesterday, I had a beautiful delivery from my church, Live Free in Adamstown, and they were giving us flowers, which was really lovely.
Ooh.
But they also, the beautiful Liz said, I want you to give this to Laurel Mack specifically, because I love her gratitude journals, and it inspired me so much. Can you please give this to her? And so this is from one of your lovely listeners who just loves you. And there's many people who adore Laurel.
Adore Laurel.
Adore Laurel.
Thank you very much. And I love the fact that it says gratitude and there's seeds.
It is so thoughtful. So
How
thoughtful.
clever is that?
So you. And I just think it just shows, like, I know you do you share your gratitude journal every day?
Yeah, I do every single day.
And I think sometimes we don't realize the power of the things we share, that they really do impact
You're
people.
right, actually.
Yes.
I once had a conversation years ago with a young girl who fell pregnant out of wedlock, and she was really stressed. And we were driving to church camp together, and I remember telling her all these stories about how everyone gets over it in a month's time, and then how but they do, like, there's the month of drama, and then everyone calms down. And then I also said to that she's got a wonderful family who will help her bring up her child, whether she's married or not. Anyway, I got a message from her about 4 years later saying that she still remembers that conversation.
Wow.
And that blew my mind. I was like, you just don't know what your words do, right?
I heard a quote from Lisa Bevere who said the most powerful muscles in the body are your tongue and the uterus. And both give life.
You didn't see the face I made there.
Well, she was like, I did not think this was going in that direction. But I thought that is the power of a woman is all I can say. Because your tongue, like, if you can give life physically, your tongue can also either help add to that or it can completely take it away, especially in those moments.
Bob, you would attest to that. I've sat next to your mother while she's on the phone. They just golden words of honey flow out of Bob when she's phoning the listeners. You enjoy that, Bob. Why do you love coming in and chatting to them?
I think just out of the rivers of life that God's given us and the encouragement that you can see and feel whenever you're imparting life, it certainly is very different than if you were being a negative person and the words of death that come out of that. So it's just recognizing that God, when He said, that the power of our words are life or death, and you can actually see it if you pay attention. You can see it, and so just cultivating life words.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I am, because I had the pleasure of sitting next to you when you were phoning some of the listeners. Are you surprised? Just to say thank you and, ask if you can pray. But so many of them are keen for you to pray. But isn't that amazing, the trust they have in you just because you're phoning from Rima?
Yeah. I just want to say this. There was a few people, and I would have been one of them if I had been on the receiving end. People are very cautious when they're getting a phone call from a stranger. And so you can hear the caution in their, and then as soon as you go, actually, I'm just here wanted to say thank you from Rima, and we just wanted to bless you if we can with, is there something we can pray for you about?
Wow.
Instantly, there is a relaxation in their voice.
Because you don't want anything from them.
Don't want anything, just want to give. And then what is so amazing is, like you said, the level of trust, but the depths of the needs of the people in every phone call. I would say, just as the scope of just going, 10 people, just go like that. Out of the 10 people, there would have been 9 that said, yes, I would love to have you pray.
You were right, because Sarah actually bought the pages and pages of prayer to our prayer meeting the other day, and we could not believe it. In fact, we landed up handing them out, and there were so many. It would have taken us probably like an hour to re-pray all the prayers, and we were just mentioning every single name. But you're right, they share their deepest moments with you, which is really amazing.
But I can I just add in, and this is my marketing hat on for a minute. Do you know how rare it is to get a phone call from someone who doesn't want anything from you?
Yeah.
It never happens. It never happens. And so even in in the business that we have, every now and then we'll reach out to people and I'll go, hey, I just want to encourage you. What can I encourage you in, or what can I pray for you in? And it blows their minds. And it only because I think it's because the way we were raised, because it's something we just did naturally. But I'm like, imagine if you brought that into business.
Yeah.
How powerful can that be?
Well, there you go. I am going to talk a little bit more about that, being raised by Barb. We should call this is welcome to being raised by Barb.
Be nervous,
in
Barbara.
In the studio today we have Rachel and Barb and Laurel having a coffee. Right? There you go. That's all coming up soon, but here is some good local music. This is John Newsom on Real 99.7 with Lightning. That's what we all go. We got a lot of lightning happening in the studio today. Here we go. Hi, John.
Jagged sharp stones, I'll stand at the threshold of hope's great unknown. I'll light up a fire, a heart of water and clay. If you feel the resistance of gravity's hold, pull on your dreams, turning them cold. I'll speak to the depths of your heart and breathe them to life. If ever a day that the earth would rebel, if love grows cold and life becomes hell, faster than lightning I'll come once again for you.
This is your Rima 99.7, the home of the Big Breakfast with Wayne Heinsohn, and the home of today's best Christian music. Your Rima 99.7.
Teach me day by day a lusty lesson to obey. Sweeter lesson cannot be. Loving him who first
watch Hymnal First Loved Me right here on Rima 99.7. My name is Laurel Mack, joined in the studio by Bob, who is the mother of Rachel. They're laughing because I told them to be quiet in like 2 seconds. It's very funny. It's very lively in the studio today. But before I even go over to Bob and Rachel, I must remind you that, of course, Sunday is Mother's Day. That's why she's here. Rachel brought her mum. Mine was a bit far away in Johannesburg, South Africa. I couldn't do that. But we do have a fantastic $50 voucher that we're giving away every single day this week, thanks to Divalinas, a local family-owned business in Nelson Street, Wallsend, run by the wonderful Lena. Clothes to fit everybody, shoes, jewelry, you name it. So your $50 voucher will go very far. You can find them on Facebook or at divalinas.com.au. And yes, that $50 voucher could be yours to give to your mum if you text us on 0435 777 997 and tell us why your mum deserves a lovely Mother's Day treat. I mean, I think they probably all do, but this is your chance to get in and get that voucher. So 0435 777 997. Bob and Rachel, lovely to have you in the studio.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Bob, tell us about the apron. Bob is wearing a very, in fact, I actually thought it was a fancy dungaree situation going on the other day, but I believe it's an apron. Can you tell us the story of the apron being the mama?
Well, it's just that it was a last second thought to bring what I do every day. I love aprons just for the practicality, but it was when I realized that as soon as I put my apron on at home, this was when I retired, and I just really needed the motivation of clocking on. I put on my apron, and absolutely it does something to my mind. I'm in the mindset of I'm at work. I have a job, a mission, and when I take a break, I normally will either, I take it off, I check it, and just to go, I'm breaking, and so I just wore it as a symbol of this is part of my motherhood and what I do in my life. I've always worn aprons, but it took on a different mindset when I came into full wife motherhood without, working.
Who was the woman, one of the minister's wife, that she said that she used to put the apron over her head?
Susanna Wesley.
Susanna Wesley used to put the apron over her head because she said it was the only time she could get with God.
Because she had somewhere around
cute.
10 plus children,
Oh.
and so she would use it as a tent. And she said, she would just lift it up over her head because she didn't have time to pray, to just stop. But she said there'd just be moments. So she said when the children saw that the apron tent was over her head, they did not interrupt her.
I like
and
that.
that's the way she,
And I think there's something really powerful about that, because I think women are so hard on themselves and, well, I should be going to the gym or cooking better or doing more laundry or having more time with God.
Mm-hmm.
When actually, when you look at the scriptures, God has always met women where they were at, usually in domestichood.
Yes.
And so whether it's at the well drawing water out, or whether it's kneading bread, or whether it's Mary and Martha. So, and even like, I think if you look at the women of the Bible, God will always meet them where they're at. They couldn't go like Moses did and, and go away for 3 days. They were too busy taking care of life and children. And I think that's really encouraging to, especially to young mothers such as myself, because you do feel constantly this almost guilt of, I didn't have my God time today. Well, you can have it in the car. You can have it when you're doing dishes. You can have it when your kid's having a bath.
It's just as important. I mean, God looks at everything we do. It is, whether we're washing dishes, that's just as important as what we're doing right here.
Well, there was a old school mama who said, you are showing children what God is by your mothering. And I was like, ooh, that's convicting, because you're their biggest teacher. You're their biggest leader. That's how do they know what God looks like? How do they know what love is? And that's through you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because my daughter turned out to be a better baker than I did. In fact, friends of ours in New Zealand gave her a cookbook. I think it was her 16th birthday. And she was telling me that last week that she was making something out of it. And I'm telling you now, you know how they get really fancy about biosecurity? I reckon we bought dollops of like New Zealand butter and sugar with us. And you can see that.
I get it.
Brownies is one of the ones she did. There's cookies she used to do. But this little book has kind of gone all over the world. It's got put encrusted food on it.
I love it.
But I mean, that's just part of the fun, isn't it?
Yes. It is. I just want to add this.
Yeah.
This is just woman talk. My aprons are color coded. I
Okay.
have different color
You're wearing the
aprons.
black sock.
I did not know they were color coded.
Yeah,
That's
and I
good.
have
that is
several
what?
different aprons.
I know you have several different aprons.
What does that mean?
I've inherited an apron of mom's. Like it's a really big deal when mom passes an apron onto a
Okay.
child. So I have one of her retro ones, which is really cool. So anyway, but
I have specific
didn't know
aprons for
that.
specific things.
She wore the smart black one today.
what does the
Yeah.
black one indicate?
Oh,
is
honey,
that?
that's
Yeah.
right. Because I love to wear black. I really do. It's very slimming, so I love the all black look, you know.
I would get like a glitter apron. And
You
try to go
so
on, right?
would. We need to get Laurel an apron.
Well, we'll
I just
see.
wear it for fun.
She would wear it while she's watching Chicago PD or whatever.
Or making fun of me.
Exactly.
Chicago
She
PD.
we make her wear it on the radio one day. That would be fun.
We
That
were-
would be fun.
No one can see, but it's fun.
Exactly.
But we'll be coming back to Bob and Rachel soon, so do stay with us here on Rima 99.7. We've got good music around the corner, but let's hear from our sponsors right now.
Rima 99.7. The heart behind the hits.
Liam Down was birthed out of a very difficult conversation. A friend of mine was crying in the back of a gym that we used to work out at, and it didn't take long to realize that she felt beat up by the world. She felt used, she felt worthless, she felt unlovable. And my heart broke for her as I saw her try to carry the weight of the world on her own. Now I know I'm young and I don't know everything, I don't know much, but I know that God is for us. I know that we weren't meant to carry the weight of our pain on our own, and we don't have to. This is the truth of the gospel. This is why Jesus came. One of my favorite passages in all of Scripture comes from 1 Peter chapter 5, where it says, "Cast all of your anxiety on him because he cares for you." This is the story of Lay 'Em Down. It's about finding freedom from burdens. It's about finding hope under pressure. It's about realizing that God can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves.
Right here on Rima 99.7. The home of today's best Christian music. So kids, who are you going with today?
What are you both doing?
Well, I'm going to the hairdresser, and then I have to stop by the pet shop. Might have time for an ice cream. Dad's driving to Uncle Dan's and taking the trailer back to the warehouse.
So you'll take the Pajero, and Dad will take the Triton?
Yep.
I'll go with Dad today, thanks, Mum.
Mitsubishi have a car for every occasion, and Charity Car Options have them both. View the range and make charitable giving a part of your new vehicle purchase. CharityCarOptions.com.au. Station sponsor.
Wonderful stuff here, Rima 99.7. You're listening to Mornings with Laurel. Don't forget, you could win a $50 voucher for your mum if you text us on 0435 777 997 before 11 a.m. this morning. And thanks to our competition sponsor, Divalinas, we are giving away that $50 voucher every day this week. So tell us why your mum deserves to win, and you can visit divalinas.com.au or go in store in Nelson Street, Wallsend. Meet the wonderful ladies who work there. And Lena encourages everyone to embrace who they are, how they look, and Divalinas has a great range of sizes for everybody, which makes me very happy. I hate going to those boutiques where everything looks like it's a glove and it's actually a dress. You know what I'm saying. But joining me here in the studio today is Barb and Rachel. Rachel and Barb.
Hi.
Want some fun? Don't have to go far. It's a bit of a rap for you
A little
today.
bit of a rap, a little bit of a southern rap. I like it.
Bob. What qualities as a mum do you see in Rachel that you think she's learned from you?
Oh my goodness, that is a powerful.
Has she learned anything?
big
Or did
question.
everything go to Leslie and Wendy instead?
Well, let me
Yes, Barb,
see.
please share.
Barb, please share. She wants to know.
I want to know.
I'll be honest, I've never really thought about it before, so we're thinking off the top of my
What do you
head.
think you've learned from your mum?
I think I have learned.
I'm guessing by showing you the sign language for a word, okay?
I don't know what that is. I was like
Well, say what you-
cutting,
and what do you think you've learned from your mother?
scooping,
No,
love,
it's a letter.
heart,
It's a
letter,
letter.
letter.
And if you know the alphabet, it's fine.
Gosh, everyone's trying to
You
teach
told
me
me
languages
before, You told me
today.
before what thing you learned from your mum.
Faith, patience, love. I don't know, the Holy Spirit, kindness.
No, you're just faffling now.
I am just baffling.
You've told me this before what you learned from your mum.
What I honestly think I've learned the most from Mom is, I would say, She's making the weirdest. I have no idea what sign she's
a
making me
letter.
right now.
It's one letter.
It's a letter,
Yeah.
but I would say kindness, and I would honestly say faith. And I know those sound really broad, but she's always had an open door to everyone. Our house has always been a house of
That's what I was trying
encouragement
to
and
do.
hope.
It's an H for hospitality.
Hospitality, Southern hospitality, but it's not just like the right thing
yeah.
to do. It's more than hospitality.
It's how you treat people.
It's
right?
how you treat people. Our home has always had an open door, and I mean that in every sense of the word, to the point where we're like, Mom, but she literally, if there was someone who had any need, especially encouragement, they knew to go to Barb's.
Yeah.
And that's never stopped. So it didn't matter where we lived, didn't matter how much we didn't have. We lived in a trailer. My sisters and I, Leslie and I, shared a bed.
Yeah.
Wendy was in the room, so 3 of us were in this one little room. And yet, there were still people in our house who would come to us because they needed something from Mom. So, didn't matter where we were at financially or anything like that. Mom always was there to help, and she always has had a hospitable spirit.
Yeah. Because we've often had people stay with us, often as people who needed a room, would stay with us for 6 months, a year, whatever it is. And I think your kids just get used to it. They understand that that's the thing. When our Sponsor Child Friends speakers came over, they'd stay with us. Jerry Bremner's stay with us. It just was a thing that we always had the spare room ready.
Well, I remember one time waking up and there was just a guy sleeping on our couch. And I said, Mom, why are they there? Why are they there? And she went, they just needed a place to stay. That was it. There was no other discussion. We're not going to sit down and have a D&M with you, Rachel. It's none of your business. They needed a place to stay, and we could provide it. And the other thing that I always noticed, and she did this for years, I'm not sure when she stopped, she had one of those big, massive black pots that you would see in like a school or a canteen.
Oh, yeah.
And she would always, and I didn't recognize it, but she was always making enough for us, like spaghetti, but always for another family. So she was never just cooking for us. And you only knew because I was like, you've got double the amount of garlic bread. And that was like special garlic bread. But she would always, exactly. So there was always enough for us, but always double portions, and she would take it to someone else. I never knew who.
You never knew. They just disappeared somewhere.
She just disappeared somewhere. So.
Bob, why do you think you're like that? Why do you think you felt hospitality was important as a mom?
It just, again, it's generations.
Okay.
My mother and father were the same way. And it was just monkey see, monkey do.
It's true, isn't it?
Yes.
It's interesting though, because I think generationally a lot of things change. I can't say I'm as hospitable as my mother is. And I mean that. Like I hope I'm kind.
I'm going to throw in
Yeah.
here. That's because there's balance
Yeah.
too. And I got to say, I did not have balance. I was what I call perverted mercy. But I'm not going to go any further.
That's a
on
real
that.
term that you should get her to talk about another time.
One time. Yeah. But God had to teach me that. I mean, the children, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have even opened that. But I will say balance is everything.
Yeah, it's true.
In every gifting that you give to people, you must have saying it, because it has been the most beautiful lesson he taught me.
You are right, because you could get to the point where you're so busy focusing on everyone else, you're not passing on that hospitality to your children because they feel like they're less than. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So your kids aren't going to become hospitable because they're going to
Exactly.
think that, I don't want to live like that. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
I mean, my parents are, my mother's most famous story is I was on the student committee of the place where I studied, the drama school. They did a whole lot of other courses. And we did what we call a wine trampling competition. So we did it against other universities. Anyway, there were probably like 15, 20 of us in this bus covered in grape skins, you can imagine, right? So it was like, after being jumping up and down on these grapes, I phoned my parents, they're around the corner. Oh, can we pop in for a drink? Okay. Just for a little chat. Anyway, my parents expected 3 or 4 people, and here around the corner come like 15 grape-covered people. That my father then said, just jump in the pool. My parents were so shocked. They were expecting a car with 4 people, and they got a bus with like 15 people. And my mother still talks about. But obviously, I felt entitled to bring my friends over.
Well, you felt comfortable. You felt comfortable. And whereas, I'm going to say nowadays, but that would be a big deal for most people. But
It would be,
yeah, and I think even, I'll tell you when it became fun, I have to say. There was a time when I was like, oh, Mom's always got people over. When I started going to uni and started going out, yeah, sure, come on over. Mom doesn't care. We're the place to be. And I even had friends like, is your mom going to be be there? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, great. Like, my friends wanted to hang out with my mother. And I actually, what I didn't realize was I've been very blessed in having a nurturing household. And we always had people there and family there. And a lot of people didn't have that growing up. Their parents were working full time, or maybe the older siblings had left. So we had a busy, bustling household, which I didn't recognize was different to a lot of people. So even when I was in my late teens, people would be like, yeah, we want to go to Rachel's house because there's always stuff happening. And so it was a bit crazy at times. Sometimes I'm like, can it just be us? But and now I actually think one of the things we've gotten, let's say, good about is there are certain occasions when we're like, no, just the circle. Just the circle. Very few times, but we will just be like, no, it's just us right now.
It's good. It's
95% of the time, though, it's not that way.
Well, we're gonna take a quick song, which is not really. I wouldn't say that this is a good name for us, but I think it's a fun name for a song. It's by a band called Social Club Misfits. We're not that.
I love it.
No, it's a lovely song. No, it actually is a great song, and it's called Without You, featuring one of my singers, Riley Clemens. That's here on Rima 99.7. Don't forget to text in 0435 777 997. Your mum could win a. Whoa, it just beeped at me.
I don't know what that
50. There, somebody started really quickly sending a text. 0435 777 997, and you can win a $50 voucher for your mum if you do that right now. Here is that song on Rima, coming back with Bob and Rachel soon after this.
Without you, I'm just a house of cards bound to fall down. Without you,
sometimes it has to get bad before it gets good. I hate that's the way it goes. Anxiety on my mind, I hope that it stops. I hate to self-diagnose. I prayed, I cried, I stayed wide awake. Think it was a stake, knowing the part I played. The legacy I leave to my kids and their families when they start their own day. Hey, I just wanna make you proud for the times that I let you down, and the times that I said that I'd be right.
Mothers Without You featuring Riley Clemens right here on Rima 99.7, and we're talking mothers and all things daughters and mothers today with Bob and Rachel and Bob. They look so cool. You can't go far.
You look cool. You look cool. You look hippie cool. You should be at like the hippie version of Woodstock, the Christian version of Woodstock.
I missed my chance there.
I think you
was
did.
Me, right?
Maybe we need to host a Christian version of Woodstock. Just saying.
Oh, there was one in South Africa. It was called the Parachute Festival.
That sounds so much more fun.
The Parachute Festival was amazing.
Sounds beautiful.
Everyone would camp, and we stayed in a motel, thank the Lord Jesus.
I went with camp.
And it was really close, but it was amazing because everyone used to wander around having fun. And except the one night there was torrential rain, and so all the kids had to go sleep in the hall, and there was mud and slush. That didn't happen often, but it did happen. It was great.
The kids would have loved it.
My husband worked for the company, so we did that every single year.
That sounds like a really fun family thing.
Yeah, and he did artist signings, and there was
so cool
playgrounds and stuff and food, and it was amazing. You didn't sleep for like 4 days. It was great.
Divine.
So there you go. They've got another one that happens in January. And it's called the something festival. Festival 1. The reason I can't say it is a friend of mine calls it Festivaloni, which is what you say when you put festival and one next to each other. It looks like Festivaloni. So Festival 1, and theirs is even nicer. Theirs is even more bohemian. New Zealand, January. There you go. Should we go?
We should consider it.
You can borrow some of my hippie clothes.
I want a hotel. Can I stay in a
hotel? Okay, we can go to the hotel. There you go. Who needs to sleep in a tent?
I'm just saying.
Bob, you've got something to share that your friend just sent you. Tell us. What's the little verse?
Oh, this is the Mimi.
Mimi.
This is my grandmother, Mimi.
Who I was named after.
Okay.
She always said this when we were growing up, and we spent a lot of time with her.
Yep.
And to the point that my eldest sister stitched this, and I have it in my home. It says, Mimi said, if a task once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be the labor, great or small, do it well or not at all. And Mimi lived by that. She was that example of it, and it flowed through all of us. And so anyway, I just thought it was awesome. I just wanted to share it.
That's some good grandmama advice there. It's good life advice.
And that is interesting when you pass it down, because every now and then my daughter and I talk to my mother at the same time. And it's just really interesting thinking about, we all want to look like my mum because she's exceptionally
glamorous.
So we always go, we just wish we looked like her. But it is really funny. Like, my mother can't handle there being noise on the phone while she's talking. So my daughter has to mute herself while she walks to through Sydney to her house. Because my mother's used to sitting down and having a phone conversation. Yeah. Whereas we're used to doing stuff while we're on the phone. You know what I mean?
That's so true. The intention. They're being really intentional about
Whereas
your time.
I'm used to it. Like, I can hear the horsey police. She calls it going past while she walks. My mother's like, what's the noise? What's the noise?
In the South, they would call it visiting. Are you going to just sit and have a visit?
Are you going to visit?
Are you going to visit and just sit and have a visit? Like, that's what we're doing. We're going to have a cup of coffee or something, and we're just going to sit and enjoy each other's company. No distractions.
I have something to read you, but I'm trying to find it in my thing for you.
All right.
I've got something really lovely, because you guys recently lost a family member, didn't you? That was really sad.
We did.
So that's your aunt?
Yes.
Did you say? Was that your sister?
It was my sister-in-law.
Oh, my word. Was that a long situation she went through? Was she ill?
It was sudden. No sickness. And we just learned it was an aneurysm while she was driving, and so they said dead before she hit the tree.
It was very sudden.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
Is she here in...
She was in Georgia. She was in
Georgia.
In the South. Yes.
I wanted to, not to dampen, but this is a fantastic thing. I just saw it on Facebook, and I remembered that I heard this on NCIS, and it's a good motto to leave behind your children. It's an epitaph that they read on NCIS. And it's really interesting because I think it speaks about how you treat people while you're still on the earth.
Yes.
And how you see people on the earth. So it's something really beautiful. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on your eyes and not your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
Oh,
Wow.
that is beautiful.
Oh, I've never. That's
I've
just-
never
And I
heard
read it
that.
on NCIS, and I was like, where did you get this?
That is truly beautiful, and that
I
is
get goosebumps because that's how you should live your life.
that's how
Yes.
you want people to feel
And
when you
that's how
leave the
she
earth.
lived.
It is, and
Well, when you said that, I thought I'd share that with you.
Thank
It's really
you.
just so very different. Isn't that something
it
like
is. You know, one of the things that came out, and we tuned in virtually to the funeral, was Gina. You know, people talk about she was light. She was a visitor. She would say just sit and visit, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
But she was a hugger, like literally a real
okay.
hugger, and that was
pieces me away to
yeah.
other
And
people.
they would say just hug harder. And I just think, gosh, it's so simple but so impactful. And that's what everyone was saying. God, I
Yeah.
loved her hugs. I loved
Yeah.
how she made you feel. I loved how, and I was like, wow, like you just don't realize the impact of the most simple things, because it is all about love. That's what
Isn't it?
life is all about. And I actually think, I know Mother's Day, I just wanted to say, I know Mother's Day it's a beautiful time, but it's a hard time for a lot of people, and it will be
Yes.
for a lot of people this Sunday. And, I think I just want to say, because I actually think Mother's Day came from Mothering Sunday. Was that
Yes,
in the
it
UK?
was. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I have.
Like, anyway, for mothers whose children had gone
Yeah.
off to the war. And so I guess I just want to say to anyone who doesn't have who they need to have this Sunday, that, you know, you can pass that on and you can honor them by that. There is a way to honor them even if they're not here with you today. And I know it must be a really hard time and there's going to be grief, but sometimes, you know, grief is a huge part of love.
Yep.
You can't have love without grief.
But it's so very true. But I think you're right. And when you think about that person, like it's really funny. When my dad died, I'll end up having his ashes, and they sit next to my bed. But it's really funny because I have flower clips. Every time one of the flowers breaks off the clip, I put it on my father's ashes. My daughter finds it really strange that they're there, but I have a certain like affinity to it. It's like really weird. She thinks it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
But that's my little thing that I have.
Well,
everyone
has their things. I wore my dad's pajamas for like 15 years after
My
he
daughter
died.
wears my dad's gown. She lives in his gown.
I used to. I don't anymore. Now we've taken pieces and we've put it in quilts and little things like that. My son now has a quilt with, you know, some of his stuff in it. But yeah, there are things that you do to remain connected, because I believe everything's spiritual.
What
I
do you
think
leave behind though? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And then when you think of your mother, you do think, we've got lots of texts coming in at the moment. We'll choose a winner.
Yes.
Soon, but we've got a little while to go before we can say goodbye, and then I have a special present for you. But let us have a lovely song. This is a song from Terrian called Let Love Lead, and coming back with Bob and Rachel soon on Rima 99.7.
Seeds of bitter root will grow bitter fruit. A tree without its limbs wears righteousness. It's better to be lowly along with the oppressed. Whatever's in our hearts, our lives will reflect. Help us to be planted in you, Lord. No matter how long the road, even when it's not comfortable, 'cause we got nothing if we don't have love. Let love lead us, yeah. Oh, let love lead us, yeah. Oh, let love lead us. He wasn't born a mother's only son, no father that he knew. Where does he turn to? Something will fill that space. The streets will indoctrinate. The love of God he craves. We can't turn him away. No matter how long the road, even when it's not comfortable, 'cause we got nothing if we don't have love.
help us to erase the bitterness and hate, so there is only love. If we are in Christ, there's no black or white, there's no left or right. God, give us your eyes, help us to erase the bitterness and hate, so there is only love. No matter how long the road, no matter if it's uncomfortable, 'cause we got nothing and we don't have
Let love lead. That seems to be a great way to describe how mothers are nowadays. My name is Laurel Mackies. I am a mother of, I say 2 children, but then people ask, oh, how old are your kids? And I go, 19 and 28. They're not kids, but they are when they still need their mama. My daughter still feels that. When she hurts herself, she needs to send me a picture of the wound. Barb, joined at the moment by Barb and Rachel, and almost time to go, which is very sad. I reckon we could talk for 2 hours. But of course, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, giving away a $50 voucher every day this week. And all you need to do is tell us why your mum deserves to win with a lovely $50 voucher from Divalina's in Wallsend. And you can just text me 0435 777 997. Now, before we go, we've got about a minute or half. No, we've got a couple minutes to go. Rachel, you told me a while ago that what is your greatest extravagance? And what did you tell me the answer was? Let's see if we'll test you on yourself, Bob. We want to see. What would you think her greatest extravagance is, Bob? Mine was hair accessories.
Massages? I don't know.
Oh no, it was a clothing item.
It was a clothing item, scarves.
Yes, so I'm presenting a scarf.
Oh,
No, it's a very apropos scarf because you know why? It's got bits of glitter in it. So it is a white scarf, but it does have little shiny bits of glitter.
my color coding, because I'm very basic with my colors, but there is just a little tint of glimmer in it.
It's a hint.
You are so beautiful. Thank you, Laura. This is beautiful.
Thank you for your media mothering that you do to everybody.
No, Mom has an incredible collection of scarves. I say thank you. This is beautiful.
But every time, what I like about it is the sequins aren't obvious.
No, not at all.
So as you move your head, like they sparkle randomly.
It's just a little bit of a glimpsy sparkle.
Have you dropped some sequins?
It's a subtle sparkle.
Yeah, you're not full like drag queen.
I once had like glitter like bust in my makeup bag. So for 2 years I had glitter you know how you're like, people do you have? And I was like, I just don't even know what to say about it. And they thought I was like trying to be glittery, and I'm so not glittery. Like I'm not a glittery person. But a bit of intentional glitter is nice. A little bit of a subtle glit.
I know.
I'm a fan.
I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Mom, you've got Barb's approval.
Barb's approval.
It's beautiful. Barb's approval is all I'm after.
It's been wonderful having both of you here today. Barb, thank you for joining, the mother of Rachel.
It was great.
Reva, the incomparable pair here today.
Thank you, Laura.
It's been a force de jour. A force de jour. I love that word. But thank you very much. We'll catch you, of course, next Wednesday. You'll be nice to your mum on Mother's Day, won't you?
I'll try.
Will you try? All the girls are going to have to spoil Barb.
That's what we do. That's what we live to
do. Is going to get,
and I hope Ellen spoils you. Ellen and your son. I hope you get spoiled.
I know, and you know what also? I am looking forward to the old brownies, which I believe you have.
They are in the kitchen.
We are going to go to the kitchen.
Homemade. I stayed up late last night making them for the Rima team.
Look at that. You're going to be very popular.
I know.
There you go. Well, have a wonderful time. Thank you so much for joining both of us, joining me. We've all been having a lot of fun in the studio. So happy Mother's Day to all the Wonder Mothers out there, and we will let you know soon who won our Mother's Day competition. It's bye from us, and time for news.
Rima's news update is